và chúng tôi sẽ cử hành nghi thức ngay lập tức. Xin quý vị vui lòng.
I'd like to welcome the elected officials as well as our VIP guests who are joining us this morning. And please stay standing up for the national anthem. We're going to start the national anthem. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Và sau đây là quốc ca Việt Nam Cộng Hòa.
Công dân ơi, quốc gia đến ngày giải phóng, đồng lòng cùng hy sinh cái gì thật sao, vì tương lai quốc dân cùng sống phá vỡ thêm, làm sao cho núi sông từ nay luôn vững bền, sự cho thay phơi trên gương sao, thủ nước lên ao nào lên ao, nói dấu mưa tiếng phải còn giải huy, người công dân giúp vững bền thậm chí cùng trang vinh chiến đấu, làm cho khắp nơi vang tiếng người Việt Nam cho đến mùa. Công dân ơi, bảo vệ thật giới cờ, công dân ơi, có làm cho khói lửa thoát cơn và vẽ vang mà dòng xứng danh nghìn năm dần dần lạc hò.
Quốc ca Việt Nam Cộng Hòa chấm dứt. Sau đây là phút mặc niệm. Phút mặc niệm để tưởng nhớ đến anh linh các tiền nhân đã có công dựng nước và giữ nước. Phút mặc niệm để tưởng nhớ đến anh hùng liệt nữ đã bỏ mình để bảo vệ Tổ quốc Việt Nam vẹn toàn. Phút mặc niệm để tưởng nhớ đến các đồng bào ruột thịt đã bỏ mình trên đường vượt biên vượt biển, trốn ách cộng sản tìm tự do. Phút mặc niệm cũng để tưởng nhớ đến quân dân cán chính Việt Nam Cộng Hòa cùng những nhà tranh đấu cho nhân quyền và dân chủ tại Việt Nam đã bỏ mình trong những trại tù nơi rừng thêm nước độc. Phút mặc niệm đầu.
Nước mắt rớt xuống cho xót thương bên nấm mồ, khói bóng nghi ngút mây quên lá cờ chưa nguôi máu những con yêu thác vì nước non. Ngàn muôn năm tổ quốc ghi ơn.
Phút mặc niệm chấm dứt.
Good morning, refugees. And Congresswoman Zoe Lochran, I hope, will get a chance to talk more about that. Those who arrived were mothers and fathers and elders and children who survived the unspeakable horrors of war and suffered unthinkable losses. It's an honor, truly an honor, to recognize the resilience and unique experiences of child refugees, as many of them are now mothers and fathers themselves, raising the next generation of Vietnamese Americans. You all know that today Santa Clara County has the second largest Vietnamese population outside of Vietnam, with almost 140,000 community members. And as you also know, we're the first Vietnamese American Service Center. This collaboration reflects my deep, not just mine, but the county's deep appreciation for the Vietnamese community. The center had its opening only a few weeks ago, and I think it meant a lot, at least to many, that the grand opening happened during the month of April as the Vietnamese communities all over the world prepared for Black April. The grand opening was dedicated to those lost and in honor of the community who stands today. The center, I hope, is a symbol of resilience and strength. Every year I'm honored to spend this time of reflection with you, and it's my great privilege to extend a warm welcome to each and every one of you. Santa Clara County is your home, and this building is your home. Thank you.
As we commemorate Black April 30th yesterday, I reminded myself as a political refugee 40 years ago. My parents brought us here to live in a land of basic principle, humanities of freedom and opportunities. And today we come together to celebrate the achievement and the life of Mr. Nam Pham, who also was a political refugee who came about 40 years ago, same time that I did. And at this time, I would like to present to you one of his work. He produced and written this video that you are about to see. The name of the video is Thank You, America. And I would like to present that, and please enjoy.
Love the United States of America, the only country that's blessed in the world, like no other, yeah, America. See her flag unfurled, see her flag unfurled, from Washington, D.C., all across the nation. Deep in my heart, I hear it loud and clear. Oh beautiful, so beautiful. USA.
40 years, a long time has passed, yet our parents and grandparents have not had the opportunity to thank this country as they desired.
Today marks the 40th anniversary of the Vietnamese community who have migrated to the U.S.
It has been over 40 years since the fall of Saigon in 1975. 40 years since our parents and grandparents have had an opportunity to thank America for her compassion.
We, the second Vietnamese American generation,
we thank America on behalf of our generation and those of our parents for welcoming millions of Vietnamese refugees and immigrants in the past 40 years. April 30th, 1975 marks a date that has memorialized the lives of millions of Vietnamese. It is a date that marks the fall of Saigon to communism.
Newport Bridge, spanning the Saigon River on Highway 1, but everyone knew this was the end. Saigon was about to fall.
Facing the horror of escape by sea, 100,000 Vietnamese braved the storms and uncertain depths in search of freedom.
The decks of some American ships became so crowded that helicopters had to be pushed overboard.
as the communist regime took over the entire country of Vietnam,
hundreds and thousands of Vietnamese escaped by land and sea in search of that freedom. Many found themselves in refugee camps and a second home in England, France, Australia, Canada, and Germany. Many more refugees found their freedom and second home in a merciful America who extended her arms as a beacon and symbol of freedom and opportunity.
the people of Vietnam found themselves without a country overnight. We did not know where to get refuge and who will accept us.
The United States of America, yes, America took us in.
Now, what went through her mind when she saw the boat?
When the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees implemented a program to deport refugees back to Vietnam in the 1990s,
But America did not forget nor abandon them.
a compassionate America provided a second home to those seeking refuge.
For the past 40 years, America welcomed all Vietnamese people who came to her.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I want to welcome you to this court, and I want to congratulate you on becoming citizens of the United States.
Some 200,000 Vietnamese have been living in the United States since 1975, and many of them are now becoming American citizens. At this naturalization ceremony in the San Francisco Federal Building, Chinese and other Asian immigrants outnumbered the Vietnamese. But that may not be true for long.
You are the latest in a long line of men and women who have come to this country to deliver.
And they found it through a merciful America who extended her arms indiscriminately to the poor and the rich, the elderly and the disabled, the heroes of a war-torn country and its citizens.
Where are you going to go? San Jose.
All Americans welcome the Vietnamese immigrants.
I'm honored to have played a role in calling the United States Navy into action to rescue Vietnamese boat people from the South Pacific Ocean in 1979. And then order that we receive an average of 14,000 immigrants per month from the previous war zone. We also encourage other national leaders to follow our lead.
For the hundreds and thousands of heroes who were caught in a war-torn country, trapped under an oppressive regime and caged in the shadows of re-education camps.
A lot of people feel abandoned by the Americans, okay? Please give a message to President Reagan. What do you want to tell him?
Every prisoner is a scam. We've got to have freedom. And I think that the freedom world can save us.
Save you.
Save us. Bring us out as soon as possible.
Today, America is home to nearly 2 million Vietnamese American. Our culture and customs, our language, our food, such as nước mắm, fish sauce, mắm ruốc, shrimp paste, are still wholly intact.
These scenes recall the sights and sounds of Vietnam, but they're all local. Downtown San Jose. So many Vietnamese restaurants and stores have opened in downtown San Jose that they now call this area Little Saigon. And hundreds of Vietnamese have found jobs in the electronics and computer industries in Silicon Valley.
Ở bên đây á, nhớ quê hương và nhiều chùa và cũng nhiều nhà thờ. Đạo gì cũng có, mà bánh chưng, bánh tét cái gì cũng đầy đủ, mứt bí đều đầy đủ như Việt Nam vậy. Ở bên đây cũng vui lắm, bán bông, bán hoa đầy đủ hết.
Today, all Vietnamese Americans enjoy the experience of personal freedom, democratic rights, and the right to personal happiness.
We thrive in a land of freedom. We were given an inalienable right to pursue our happiness and our right to liberty and to live freely. Our Vietnamese culture is very much alive and thriving with new dreams of a better tomorrow.
Xin chào quý vị, tôi là Jeffrey, Detroit, thành phố San Jose. Kính chúc quý vị năm mới vui vẻ, vạn sự như ý, năm mới phát tài.
Kính chào quý vị, chúc mừng năm mới.
Trên chào TV, trên tôi là BBQ. Chúc mừng năm mới.
Today, on this occasion, we are also celebrating IRCC's 39th anniversary, and we would like to take this opportunity to extend our deep appreciation and gratitude toward a nation that extended her arms when she did not have to and gave us a world of dreams.
Thank you for inviting me to celebrate the 33rd anniversary of resettlement in the United States. And although I cannot be with you tonight, I stand in spirit along with you, other prominent members of the Vietnamese American community and dignitaries, to thank the Immigrant Resettlement Cultural Center and Mr. Vu Van Lock for the dedication and work that has led to hope and better futures for thousands of Vietnamese refugees over the past 32 years. Congratulations on the lives you have built for yourselves in our great nation, and may good fortune follow you for generations to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, America.
Thank you, America.
Can't start again with just my children and my wife. Thank my lucky stars to be living here today. 'Cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, but at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I'm happy stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And I'm proud to be an American, but at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I'm gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. I love this land. God bless the USA.
Marvelous video. And it reminds me of how much we owe not only our country, but Mr. Nam. You know, we are here today not only to remember Black April and to remember those who've made the Thank You America ceremony popular, but especially to honor Nam Pham, a former refugee himself, and someone who for almost 40 years produced hundreds of magazines, documentaries, audio records to preserve Vietnamese history and culture in the United States for future generations. Since 2015, he has hosted the Thank You America event along with our group, and it's the only thing I'm aware of in the country where refugees and their sons and daughters come together to say thanks to the United States. It's an amazing and very moving thing for me. I remember so well the fall of Saigon, and as the first refugees came here to our community, first the military individuals who were up at the seminary in Los Gatos, and then others, people who had escaped, people who later got on little boats out into the sea, picked up by our Navy ships, and we welcome these refugees as new Americans. And we understand now how lucky we are that the Vietnamese community is so centered here in San Jose. You have not only built a free life for yourselves, but you have enriched our community immensely, really, without words to express. Part of that is standing up against communism, standing up for freedom, never forgetting that we will stand up for human rights in Vietnam, but also understanding we must be vigilant to protect our own Constitution, to make sure that our wonderful democratic republic continues endlessly on into the future. I want to present to the family of Nam Pham this.
Xin chào quý vị. Thank you, Dave, for present, and here at a very somber time. Many of us in this room, most elected officials were at several Black April events yesterday, and we acknowledged at those events just what, and even though we have dealt with each other professionally and negotiated things professionally, and perhaps even had a few tense moments over the last couple of decades, somehow, some way, he would always flash that big smile and let me know that I should smile a little bit more, and let me know what a dear friend he is and will always be. So it's wonderful to be here to recognize him today. I think many of the people in this room already know this, but his first love has always been IRCC, and he's always approached me from the standpoint of the Vietnamese community getting their fair share of resources, government resources, to make sure that nobody is left out. Nobody's left out. And I can give you specific examples of that. Him coming to me and pulling me aside and saying, we need to be part of the census count, because we need to make sure that every single Vietnamese person here in this county is counted, and we can lead that effort, but we can't do it without resources. When the pandemic hit, he pulled me aside and said, we need to be part of making sure that everyone is vaccinated and everyone's protected and the health of our community is protected. And we can lead that effort, we can help lead it, through IRCC, but somebody has to make sure that we get the resources to do that. And I could go on because he's pulled me aside so many times now over decades and pushed and pressed to make sure that the Vietnamese community is getting its fair share, but for the reason that he wanted to make sure, humanistically, that nobody is left behind. That's Nam Pham. Now, somehow, separate and apart from that, he's remained as an individual, like so many of you, very engaged civically and politically. He doesn't stand on the sideline when it comes to expressing his values through political choices and decisions. And I respect that greatly as somebody in this arena that I'm in. And lastly, what we just saw on the screen. If he wasn't so dedicated to this world of nonprofit, of making sure that seniors have meals and nutrition, of making sure that everyone's counted in the census, of making sure that everyone's public health is first and foremost, he probably could have been one of the greatest journalists in the Bay Area, because he's always had this natural ability, above and beyond anyone I've met, to produce, to direct, to express artistically, and capture artistically things that we would otherwise would never appreciate or realize. What a great gift to all of us. And what a great gift to all of us that he has pursued that up above and beyond, the 60 or 70 hours a week he's been working on his primary occupation. So there's so much more. But his family is behind me here today. I want to present him the certificate of recognition from the California State Senate. But I'm sure, like most families, they're thinking, nice comments, but you hardly know it. Because I'm sure that the little bit that I know about this wonderful man over the last several decades, again, is still just a small part of the wonderful person that he's been as a human being amongst his own family and amongst his other friends. Thank you so much and for letting me be here.
Diaspora around the world, and for his many contributions to Santa Clara County. I just want to cover a couple things that weren't covered. He is a busy man. Mr. Pham was a former chair of the Vietnamese Reach for Health Initiative, and this is a coalition of community-based organizations, health experts, and UCSF working together to improve cancer prevention for the Vietnamese Americans here in Santa Clara County. His distinguished record of achievement in media engagement on essential topics advance the Vietnamese American understanding really of health, which is so critical for all of us. For more than 30 years, through IRCC and Denison Media, Mr. Pham has developed an extensive health information network that many people in our community rely on to learn about multiple health issues. Nam Pham is also a beloved journalist and a familiar voice to many of us, and in particular Vietnamese-speaking households who tune in every week to hear him about the latest news and issues affecting the community. We talked a little bit about what he'd already done during COVID. He did a beautiful job of making sure that we reached every corner of the community. And while his contributions are many, one that can be seen every day is Viet Museum, also known as the Museum of Bo People and the Republic of Vietnam, which he helped establish alongside his mentor, Mr. Loc Vu, to memorialize the experience of the Vietnamese Americans in search of their freedom. NAM has organized events celebrating Vietnamese culture and heritage and history, including Black April, Thank You America Day, and Lunar New Year celebrations. It really is my honor to have an opportunity to present this commendation to Nam Pham, to his family, to recognize and commend him for his years of tireless dedication, commitment, and advocacy. And for all of you who know him, and I'm sure he'll get a chance to watch this video, you know him to be a person of kind persistence. And what I mean by that is a gentle approach, but with tenacity and follow-up. So much of the benefits of the Vietnamese American community here, and that story was told by him over and over again. I have the honor of presenting this commendation to his family, really as a thank you for letting us share so much of his time. Thank you.
It is a very emotional moment for our family to be here today. It's a great honor for me to be here today on behalf of my husband, Mr. Nam Pham, to receive the presentation of this service award to him. He regrets for not being able to be here today due to his illness and aggressive treatment, as you all know. We wish to extend our deepest personal appreciation to all of you and the community for this prestigious recognition. We would also like to duly recognize the community who comes together and on whom my husband's success rides. My husband is looking forward to coming back here and dedicating his time and effort working together with you to serve the country he loves once he set foot here many years ago. Once more, he would like to say thank you, America. I believe destiny has brought us from different cultures together. Destiny has pulled our community together and finally has pushed us together to form a very happy family. I recall how I met my husband many years ago. I still remember our days visiting UC Berkeley, where I came from, and had a lot of fun time together. And once more, I strongly believe that destiny will kindly let us stay strong together for many years to come. Right now, after this award, we are heading home to take care of Mr. Nam Pham, to share with him the moment today and to show him the precious photos taken at this event. He will be very happy and grateful to see the photo and to hear what I'm going to share with him. So thank you very much. Thank you all the government officials, and also thank you for the community who come together to take a look of what he has been done and share with him what he's feeling about this country. Once more, he keep asking me to say, thank you, America. Thank you very much.
Hello, thưa quý vị, tên con là Phạm Anh Việt. Hôm nay con rất là hân hạnh con được đại diện bố. Hôm nay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Vincent Pham. I'm proudly here to represent, along with my mother and my family, my father, Mr. Nam Pham, at today's recognition ceremony. Knowing my father, he's faithfully served the Vietnamese American community here in the United States. Not for these awards, not for honor, not for recognition. Rather, he did it for me, he did it for my cousins, he did it for the young Vietnamese Americans in the back over there, he did it for this community. He did it so that even 47 years after the fall of Saigon, on April 30th, 1975, our community remains resilient We have persevered, we remain strong, our culture is preserved, and our culture is continued to this day. My father has proudly partnered up throughout the past decades with Congresswoman Loughran, State Senator Dave Cortese, Supervisor Cindy Chavez, and many of you in this audience. And in his, if I can just reiterate his words, it's more than a partnership. It has become a relationship and an enduring friendship. So if I may say just by their first name, my dad, he's so thankful to have friends like Zoe, like Cindy, like Dave, to come here and give him this honor. To him, he always tells me, he's just a normal man. He's just a normal 67-year-old man. But I know along with him and each and every person in this room, we will all continue his dream, we will continue our dream of a strong Vietnamese American community here in the United States as we work together to strive to create a more perfect union, not just for us, but for everyone in this country. And so I say thank you all for coming today.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Anh Nam Phạc, for your lifetime achievement. And please continue to pray for his quick recovery. We are continuing with this program, and at this time it's my great honor to introduce to you our first speaker for today. She's a beautiful young Vietnamese American woman. She came to the United States at the age of 4 after the fall of Saigon in 1975. Ms. Thuc Minh Nguyen is currently serving as a special counsel at Kasowitz Benson Torres Law Firm. Her practice focuses on intellectual property, patent and trademark infringement, and commercial litigation. Prior to joining the firm, Ms. Thuc Minh Nguyen served as general counsel for Senator John McCain. She received her bachelor's degree from Harvard and law degree from Stanford Law School. Please help me welcome Ms. Thuc Minh Nguyen.
Thank you. I am so honored to be here today. I am particularly honored because my presence on this stage was unlikely at one time. I am a political refugee, born and raised in Da Nang, Vietnam. I am a daughter of a prisoner of war, a lieutenant of the Southern Vietnamese Army Republic of Vietnam, who endured 7 years in a re-education camp. I grew up selling lottery tickets on the streets of Da Nang. My family and I came to the United States through the humanitarian operation. My father delivered newspapers. My mother worked in restaurants. To provide food for a family of 7, we relied on the kindness of others. In Vietnam in 1988 to Yoda, we drove to donation centers. I remember my first pair of tennis shoes. Getting teased in first grade by a few older boys because my shoes were for boys, not for girls. And they were old and dirty. I graduated from Harvard in Government and Economics and Stanford Law School. For 17 years, 7 days a week, my father and mother worked tirelessly so that I could have an opportunity to receive a good education. My graduation was the first time in 17 years that my father took a day off work. It is said that our nation is the enduring dream of every immigrant whoever set foot on these shores, and the millions still struggling to be free, this idea called America wasn't always will be unreal. America is a beacon of freedom and the land of opportunity, which has allowed a girl who sold lottery tickets on the streets of Da Nang the opportunity to graduate from Harvard and Stanford, be general counsel to the late Senator John McCain, a member of the Senate Armed Services Committee. I'm grateful and blessed because I am where I am today because of the sacrifices, not only because of my father and my mother, but of all the heroes who have fought for our freedom, for those who believed in a better world, who gave the little girl an opportunity for good education, who gave the little girl her first pair of tennis shoes. I'm at a loss for words to express my gratitude. I remember eating pho with the late Senator John McCain in the streets of Hanoi. It was his 22nd time in Vietnam. It was also his last time. How fortunate am I? Because out there is all those other little boys and little girls who, like me, if given the opportunity, would graduate from Harvard or Stanford, or be greeting prime ministers and presidents around the world, speaking to international diplomacy. There's only an ocean that separates us, but a world apart. A flip of a coin, and so much separates us. I think my lucky stars. I think hundreds, thousands, millions of fallen heroes for my freedom today, for our freedom today. I thank my elders for their sacrifices in building and growing our community. I thank my mother and father for all of their sacrifices, for enduring me as their daughter. There are no words to express the fortune that has been blessed on each of us for us to be here today. I'm truly honored. Thank you very much.
First of all, thoughts and prayers to and his family. And greetings to you all, distinguished guests, our vaunted military leadership and soldiers from the Republic of Vietnam, our distinguished elected officials. These things are never easy for me. I haven't started it yet, and I'm already emotional, right? So we just finished the ceremony for the 30th of April in honor of our fallen heroes, but I think it's deeper than that. It's a brilliant example of those ideals that are encapsulated in all of us Vietnamese to want to live free and to risk everything that we have to be able to escape tyranny, to find a better life. But today I've been asked to speak not so much about that, but 34 years of my military service, and we would be here all day if I would talk about every juncture of my military career. I had the fortunate or unfortunate honor of being involved in pretty much every major conflict that this country has had since joining the military in 1988. A lot of my friends, have joked about staying away from me because I attract a lot of trouble, right? So starting out in 1994, I was a company commander in the 82nd Airborne Division, and we were ordered by President Clinton to conduct a parachute assault into Port-au-Prince, Haiti, to seize the airfield to facilitate the introduction of land forces, because at that time, the tyrant, General Rose Sablet, had conducted a coup and overthrew the elected President Jean-Bertrand Aristide, and we were told to do so. So about halfway through, it was a 5-hour flight. You know, I was on the headset because I was the company commander on the elite aircraft to jump into Haiti. And we were told, hey, you've been ordered by the president to turn around. And I switched on my hand mic to talk to the Air Force pilot, and you have to be joking. And we were told that we had to turn around, so we returned to Fort Bragg, and several days later, I deployed to Haiti anyway to be part of the UN peacekeeping operations to provide peace and security for democracy to occur. And I'm very proud of that mission, although it was not a combat mission, but it was something that was very monumental in my career. I followed on there as a major. Again, I stayed in the airborne. I was the operations officer in the 173rd Airborne Brigade in Vicenza, Italy. And of course, we were involved in Bosnia, Kosovo, so those were not very peaceful years. You fast forward in 2005, I took command of the 2nd Battalion, 505th Parachute Infantry Regiment, again an airborne battalion, part of the 82nd Airborne. We had really the opportunity, I would call that, to deploy to Hurricane Katrina to assist our civil authorities in restoring peace and order, and also help a bunch of people evacuate from creating just a deadly, bloody cycle of violence across the whole country. So these are very troubled times, and I do have a hard time talking about that as well, because I lost a lot of great soldiers during those years. I got promoted to colonel very shortly after, and had the opportunity to take command of probably the most storied brigade in the entire Army, the famous Rakistan, and it's the 3rd Brigade of the 101st Airborne Division at Fort Campbell, where I took them to Afghanistan one more time to conduct counterinsurgency against the Taliban in eastern Afghanistan. I got promoted after that to 1-star Brigadier General, why I returned to Afghanistan. And this time, in addition to conducting counterinsurgency operations, we were also responsible for building the Afghan forces so they can conduct independent operation against our enemies. Needless to say, you know, it's a lifetime of combat and operational experience. But if you were to ask me what was really the defining moment in my career, I would tell you that it's probably the command of U.S. Army Japan. And I would tell you this for a couple of reasons. First and foremost, it's the opportunity at that level with my duties and responsibility and of course my position and rank, able to impact great change in an area that's very important to our country. You know, about a quarter of the world's economy go through there. Most of our shipping lanes going west go through that same area. In addition to that, and you have some of the richest and most powerful countries in Asia. So prior to going to Japan, I set foot for the first time in Korea, in South Korea. I had been mostly deployed, fighting our nation's wars in the Middle East, and 2017 was my first time arriving in Korea. And it was a very, very tumultuous time because at that time, you know, I believe it's probably the most tumultuous period since the signing of the peace armistice in the 50s. The law for what it is in the Pacific, and for us, it was not tenable. For the Japanese in particular, that was not very tenable. But surprisingly, I published a paper, and it's been reviewed by some of my colleagues at Stanford as well as the Army War College, and I was kind of surprised because the general responses I kind of got from some people in academia, right? It's pretty much, why are you concerned about China? You're kind of being an alarmist, right? So I left Stanford. I got back to my niche, which is dealing with the Middle East. I worked in the Pentagon. I was helping the chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff, preparing for his engagement with President Obama in making the recommendations for Afghanistan policy post-2014. And so I got back to that world. When I got promoted to 1-star again, I went to Afghanistan. But when I came back to the Indo-Pacific, I found that, I don't consider myself prophetic, but a lot of things I thought would happen, because my paper basically said, hey, we need to be tougher on the PRC, right? I mean, everything they're doing, we need to be tougher on the PRC. And I'm not talking about militarily, right? Because that's probably, for most cases, the last resort. But we have other instruments of national, power, diplomacy, economy, right? That we can probably use pretty readily to be able to deal with the threat. And by the time I got there, my perception was, well, a lot of years had gone by and we allowed them to get stronger, right? By the time I got to Japan, they had 2 carriers in the water, they had stealth fighters, they have advanced precision strike capability. Now they have hypersonics. And the Japanese were very concerned because, every day now in Japan, you would see jet aircraft, fighter aircraft scramble because of the PRC, the PLA, tactical and operational instead of strategic. In addition to that, we've asked for new capabilities, among which is the multi-domain task force to conduct multi-domain operations. Because typically, doctrinally, we used to fight in air, land, and sea, and now you have cyber and space. And I want us to be able to have the capabilities to compete against our adversaries in cyber and space during the competition in order to deter. And if deterrence fail, we have to be prepared to transition to combat operations. So we brought in a lot of other capabilities, some of which that I don't want to highlight here, but we ended up creating a campaign plan and also drafting up a white paper. And that white paper, I submitted that to the Chief of Staff of the Army as well as the 4-star, my boss. And it was very well received. And a lot of those recommendations have either been instituted or very, very favorably looked upon. And again, at the end of the day, I think, if you can impact change, that's one of the best things you can do as a leader. A lot of times, leading change is very difficult. I had a lot of people who either didn't have the confidence or the trust or even the will to try to support that. So it was very hard getting things done over 3 years, but through a lot of leadership and perseverance, we were able to be able to do that. So again, that's a very, very short summation. I would be ready for any questions that you may have later on. You can, talk about my other experience as well, Iraq, Afghanistan, humanitarian assistance, and Hurricane Katrina. But I do want to share something with you, and again, I'm going to prepare myself. It's always really hard to talk about these things. For me to talk about this country, and all of us, right? I tell people all the time, half of my heart is in Vietnam. I can't help that, right? I can't help that.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say thank you to Cindy, the lovely one Vietnamese community. Thank you, you stay until now. 47 years ago, when I first come to the United States, I don't know what to do with the rest of my life. And you ask me a question, I bring some our friends today to tell you their story, the story of the refugee in the United States. And now the English bring our children up to sky. Now they come back to community in Vietnamese. So say thank you, Cindy. Thank you, Cindy. You escort my friend out. Okay.
Well, actually, Cindy, I just wanted to say that Mr. General Việt Lương, not only he's a great general, but he's also have a beautiful voice. And I want to ask him to sing for us before you leave, if that's okay.
Before that, I'd like to show you who is the wife of General. Ai là bà Thương Lý? Okay. Stay up, please.
You give her a big round of applause. Yes, General Lương, I know that it's a surprise for you. You didn't plan to do this. But we really wanted to showcase your feelings. Not only you are a great leader and a strong general, but you also have a very strong heart for our community and for our country. And at this point, I actually arranged Mr. Ju Xuân Man, who is the leader of the Đoàn Suka Bakali, and he will serenade you with playing properly.
Yeah, Butler is asking me to do a little thing. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. I still have some more speech stuff, but I think we get to do Vietnamese later, right? And I don't know if I remember the words of these songs. This is a very difficult spot because I've spoken at many places, and I've never been asked to sing. So I'm going to go ahead and try to do that. I tell people all the time the Vietnamese language is a really beautiful language, and I played the violin as a kid, and I really love to sing and stuff like that. An average singer and an average guitarist, but I love the Vietnamese music because it's so deep, right? And again, this is all pre-1975. I made that on the record, right? Now she's gonna make me put on my glasses because I can't see, but that's okay. Okay, so maybe G minor.
Trên cánh môi xanh, trên những đôi tay, trên con chân bước về tình buồn. Yêu nhau giữa đám rông rêu, bên dòng nước cuốn lêu lêu, đi qua những phố tênh thang, đi qua với trái tim khăn, đi qua với trái tim khăn, đi qua phố bất lang thang. Theo em xuống phố trưa này, đang còn nhức mỏi đôi vai. Theo em bước xuống cơn đau, bên ngoài nắng đã lên màu, cho nhau hết những mê say, cho nhau hết cả chua cay, cho nhau chất hết thơ ngây, trên cánh môi say, trên những đôi tay, trên những chân bước về tình buồn, tình buồn. Qua đi cơn mê tình buồn trong chất về qua đi giấc cơn say tình này tình tôi
một cái màn xuất sắc của ông tướng của chúng tôi chưa? Chàng vừa khóc nhớ gia đình thì chàng lại cười hát tình ca cho vợ, hay quá. Tôi cũng xin thưa với quý vị là cách đây 47 năm có một cậu bé 9 tuổi sinh ở Biên Hòa ra đi, và cậu ấy đã có 34 năm leo lên trên trời lấy súng 30 sao của US Army, và cậu đó hôm nay vừa khóc vừa hát tình ca. Một cái màn này là tôi nói thật tình quý vị, những người như chúng ta ít lâu lắm mới được gặp một lần. Bây giờ tôi lại xin giới thiệu một người mà cô Thái Hà sẽ là người bạn quen biết nhiều để giới thiệu Thục Minh. Lúc nãy quý vị có thấy Thục Minh ở trên TV 7 năm trước, cô ấy là một trong cô gái ở trên cái TV lúc nãy đó. 7 năm sau nàng lại còn đẹp hơn nữa. Và nhiều người không biết là luật sư, nhưng mà tưởng là cô này là minh tinh. Nên thưa với quý vị, năm 1975 cô Thục Minh này có 4 tuổi, cô ấy ra đi, và hôm nay sẽ được Thái Hà là người bạn nói lời giới thiệu Thục Minh lên kể cuộc đời của một cô gái con gia đình HO.
Qua chụp hình như là ông muốn về giữa trong hình ảnh.
Thưa cháu các thân mắc của Bận Lộc, Thái Hà xin kính chào tất cả quý vị.
Việt Nam duy nhất thiếu tướng.
Nói về Thục Minh thì xin quý vị cùng chúng tôi nhớ lại cái hoàn cảnh nghiệt ngã của những người Việt phải sống dưới chế độ khắc nghiệt Cộng sản Việt Nam sau biến cố 30 tháng 4 75. Tại Đà Nẵng có gia đình em bé tên Thục Minh, cha đi tù 7 năm, mẹ tần tảo ngược xuôi nuôi 3 con, và em bé Thục Minh cũng phải góp sức đi bán vé số dạo phụ giúp sinh kế gia đình. Sau đó được định cư sang Mỹ theo diện HO, từ đó giấc mơ của Mỹ, The American Dream đã đưa Thục Minh đến ngày hôm nay, trở thành một luật sư hiếm hoi, huyền thoại mà ngay cả xã hội của dòng chính cũng mơ ước. Nhưng không chỉ đến thế, một giấc mơ khác của Thục Minh thành hình và thành tựu, trở thành một huyền thoại khác trong cộng đồng Việt Nam, làm gương mẫu và điểm hãnh diện cho biết bao thanh niên và thiếu nữ gốc Việt. Xin được nhắc lại, Thục Minh tốt nghiệp bằng cử nhân kinh tế và công quyền tại Harvard và bằng tiến sĩ luật tại Stanford. Cô đã từng phục vụ với tư cách cố vấn của Ủy ban Quân vụ Thượng viện Hoa Kỳ, phụ trách khu vực châu Á-Thái Bình Dương, đồng thời là cố vấn pháp lý cho cố thượng nghị sĩ John McCain cho đến ngày ông qua đời. Với nhiệm vụ này, cô bé Việt Nam đã được vị thượng nghị sĩ tầm vóc của Hoa Kỳ tín nhiệm và quý mến đến mức cho đi theo ông công cán đến thăm hàng chục quốc gia trên thế giới, đại diện Hoa Kỳ bắt tay hàng chục vị nguyên thủ trên thế giới, trong đó có Tổng thống Ukraine hiện nay, và nhất là đã vận động thành công để đem được tù nhân lương tâm nhạc sĩ Việt Khang được trả tự do sang Mỹ. Hiện giờ, cô là cố vấn đặc biệt cho một trong những tổ hợp lừng danh của Hoa Kỳ và cũng là một thành viên trong hội đồng quản trị của Việt Museum. Bao nhiêu người Mỹ bản xứ, bao nhiêu danh tài trong nước Mỹ, bao nhiêu em bé Việt Nam tị nạn đã làm nên được những sự kiện này. Chỉ chừng đó thôi cũng đủ cho quý vị và chúng tôi hãnh diện vui mừng, vỗ tay hoan nghênh chào đón Thục Minh hôm nay. Thưa quý vị, hãy ngài trong tư cách một thành viên của Viện Minh Dương xin được hân hạnh giới thiệu nữ luật sư Nguyễn Thục Minh cùng quý vị.
Minh xin kính chào cô quý anh chị em. Thục Minh rất hân hạnh được có mặt ngày hôm nay, là một người Việt Nam, là một người bị nạn, là một người con trong gia đình HO. Ba là Trung úy Việt Nam Cộng Hòa, đi cải tạo 7 năm. Khi còn bé, Thục Minh bán vé số trên đường phố của Đà Nẵng. Và đó là bắt đầu của câu chuyện của Thục Minh. Qua diện HO, Thục Minh và gia đình với anh chị em định cư tại Hoa Kỳ, tại tiểu bang Cali, để nuôi tụi con nên người. Ba bỏ báo, mẹ làm nhà hàng. Từ một người trung úy, từ một cô thầy giáo, ba mẹ sẵn sàng hy sinh và làm lại từ đầu ở một đất nước xa quê hương, phải rời xa ông nội, phải rời xa bà ngoại, để ghi ơn cái hy sinh bao la của ba mẹ, hy sinh của những người anh hùng đã nằm xuống để cho Thục Minh và thế hệ Thục Minh có cơ hội nên người dưới một bầu trời xanh tự do. Thục Minh quyết tâm từ bé phải học nên người. Ba Thục Minh thường nói, đường đi không khó vì ngang sông kết núi, mà khó vì lòng người ngại núi nghe sông. Cái câu thuật ngữ này Thục Minh đã ghi sâu vào lòng. Đôi khi học 1 tiếng không đủ, học 10 tiếng không đủ, thì học 100 tiếng, học 100 tiếng không đủ, học 1000 tiếng, học tới khi hài lòng, học tới khi không biết những gì mình không biết, biết những gì mình không biết. Vì cái khái niệm của Thục Minh bao giờ cũng là có câu bản sắc có ngày chim. Thục Minh có được ngày hôm nay vì bao nhiêu ngày đêm thức khuya, kỷ niệm khi ta đi bỏ báo 12 giờ khuya. Mình chưa giải được những cái bài toán. Nhớ trời mưa 4 giờ sáng, ba vừa bỏ báo vừa gọi về để bày mình những cái bài toán ấy. Ba mẹ hy sinh cả đời để anh chị em và chị mình được nên người, được có cơ hội đi học. Vì vậy nên mình phải quyết tâm, quyết chí thành công trên cái hy sinh bao la của ba mẹ. Cái con đường học vấn của Thục Minh nó có gì so sánh với cái hy sinh bao la của ba mẹ, những cái hy sinh của cái cô bác, những cái hy sinh của những anh hùng đã nằm khi Thục Minh thi vào những trường đại học thì mình rất là may mắn và được ơn trên phù hộ nên được 22 trường đại học nhận với toàn học bổng. Và với những hy sinh của bao nhiêu người, mình được tốt nghiệp bằng kỹ năng về kinh tế và công quyền tại Đại học Harvard và bằng tiến sĩ luật tại Đại học Stanford. Và tiếp theo con đường học vấn với sự phù hộ của ơn trên, mình được làm phụ tụ với tư cách cố vấn của Ủy ban Nhân vụ Nghị viện Hoa Kỳ phụ trách khu vực châu Á Thái Bình Dương, cũng là cố vấn pháp lý cho thượng nghị sĩ John McCain cho đến ngày ông qua đời. Từ cô bé bán vé số trên đường phố Đà Nẵng, ta đi từ năm trong một gia đình HO. Khi sang Hoa Kỳ, ba phải bỏ báo, mẹ làm nhà hàng, đến thành một cô có cơ hội để cố vấn một người như Thượng nghị sĩ John McCain, ngồi ăn chung bàn với những lãnh đạo, tổng thống, thủ tướng của những quốc gia toàn thế giới. Thục Minh đôi khi không ngờ ở đời và ơn trên cho Thục Minh cái duyên và cơ hội để báo ơn những hy sinh của ba mẹ và những người đã đi trước. Thì có bao nhiêu trẻ em, cô bé như Thục Minh đang trên những đường phố Việt Nam đang bán vé số như Thục Minh, nếu có cơ hội sẽ được đổi đời. Mình cách nhau một đại dương, hai bờ biển, nhưng cái khoảng cách đó không thể so với cái khoảng cách của hai khung trời bao la, dù dưới một vầng trăng, dưới một mặt trời. Trong hoàn cảnh đau thương sau 1975, vết thương chiến tranh vẫn còn đây, tình người tình thương vẫn còn trở lại Thục Minh và thế hệ của Thục Minh và những thế hệ sau này, cái giá trị của tự do, cái giá trị của lịch sử mình để xây một niềm hy vọng vào một tương lai mới. Vì tiếng Việt còn, người Việt còn. Thục Minh rất hân hạnh là người Việt Nam, là một người tị nạn, là một người con trong gia đình HO và rất hân diện là con của ba mẹ. Cảm ơn những người anh hùng đã nằm xuống vì hai chữ tự do. Cảm ơn những người mẹ, những người cha bồng những đứa bé vì chữ tự do. Cảm ơn cô bác đã hy sinh để có ngày hôm nay. Cảm ơn ông nội và bà ngoại đã phải chịu đựng cái cô đơn ở lại Việt Nam. Cảm ơn ba mẹ và cô Trang đã cho mình cái duyên là làm con của ba